Greetings and welcome to Growth Hacking Secrets. I'm your host, Mohammed Siddique from Atlanta, Georgia, and the co author of New Success Secrets available on Amazon. On this episode, we have a special guest, Samuel Sussman. Samuel is the host of Junior Enlisted Alliance podcast. And something about special as this podcaster, Samuel, he is almost there to become a king on Clubhouse. When it comes to Clubhouse, that's the ultimate engagement platform. And our whole interview is if you like to engage with people you never met before, how do you do it? What are the mistakes to avoid? What are the success secrets? And of course, I'm sure he bumped a few times. So we are going to ask one of his failure, how he failed, what did he learn, and how did he recover from that. So please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Samuel Sussman. Samuel, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Siddique, for the great introduction.
Yeah,
I'm
wonderful.
excited to be here.
Is Samuel on a clubhouse? You look perfect every time because nobody can see you. That's why you are the best of your form. However, this is a video interview and it's only a few minutes, so let's get to it. Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with? That inspired you to start this podcast and get transition to into a clubhouse to become the ultimate engagement manager.
Absolutely. So what started me to start the Junior Enlisted Alliance podcast was watching a lot of junior enlisted struggle with their transitions out of the military. And it was one of those things where my personal failures had a lot of educational opportunities. And that's one thing that I love to talk about is one of our shows that we're going to start building back up is Failure Fridays, where we talk about the resources from the bottom. Because we believe that when you're at the bottom, that's when you find out which resources actually count.
Wonderful. Sam, what are your top 3 mistakes to avoid based on your experience when it comes to engaging with the community?
So my community is a little unique. So we're the veteran community. So we have kind of our mannerisms and things that we brought back from the military.
Yeah.
A lot of it ends up being hearing and not listening. So one of the big things that we talked about previously was that you have to comprehend what the person is saying. If you're just listening to hear the noise that they're saying, but not comprehend the meaning behind the words, that is a big mistake that I made multiple times where I would unmute myself on Clubhouse or unmute myself during the video broadcast and talk over. And that was terrible. The second big mistake to avoid is re-engagement directly with what you initially talked about, because the re-engagement piece is something that a lot of people don't realize is how you make those personal connections. So re-engagement, when you re-engage, if you re-engage with, hey, we talked on X platform a couple weeks ago, that's not personal. If I reach out instead and say, hey, how's your daughter doing? Because we just talked before the podcast even started, where it was nothing about what we talk business-wise, it gives that personal connection, which leads me to number 3, which is not being personal, which kind of links back up to number 1. But having that personal connection amongst your network takes you above and beyond and puts you in situations where if you come into a failure moment, you have a whole team of people and a whole book of resources to help you get out of that rut.
Samuel, you are not as good as you think. You are better, I can tell you for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Samuel, what are your greatest failure story of your engagement with your community? What did you learn from it and how did you recover from that?
So my biggest failure with engagement was actually when I got out of the Navy, where I just mass put out my resume, put it on every job board, submitted for every application, and didn't make it personal. And that was one of the things that was like catastrophic to me with my transition was I was just submitting resumes to submit resumes because the unemployment office said I would only get a check if I submitted resumes. So I submitted 957 resumes to only get 3 responses that were not, thank you for your application. So one of the things that I learned was how to network and how to engage with people on a personal level in order to break down the barriers that junior enlisted face during their transition. And a lot of it ended up being going to networking events where I was talking with the industry experts and then sharing, oh, hey, I remember doing something like that in the Navy. And then that kickstarts a conversation about job openings. So knowing how to do those social engagements, whether it is through Clubhouse, LinkedIn, you name the platform, that piece of engagement and that interpersonal connection is what's really driving my success right now.
Mm, very good. So let's talk about your successes. So what are your top three success secrets? Before you answer it, I just wanted you to know, please give us your best ones. And when it comes to knowledge, we are greedy. Okay.
Absolutely. So my biggest one is failure is not a negative thing. And a lot of people are always confused when I say failure isn't a negative thing, because a lot of people go, oh man, I failed. But you also learned a lot. So one of my greatest successes is having that ability to stay positive and negative emotions. So when I fail a test, I don't look at it like, oh man, I failed a certification test. I view it as, hey, I got to see what I need to study.
Yeah.
So I go back after I fail a certification test, or whether it's a professional or any other test where you can take it multiple times. That first attempt, yes, I'm trying to pass. But if I don't, that's okay, because I can retake. I can go back and study. My second key is going to be that being personal with everybody I meet. So when somebody adds me on LinkedIn, I'm always writing each message instead of having a copy and paste message. So I have close to 3,500 people on LinkedIn, and I try to engage with everybody at least once a month, which might seem super hard, but your chat records are right there. So you can just scroll back up to see, oh, last week we talked about their daughter going through basketball camp. Let's go ahead and say, hey, how's her basketball going? Has she picked a position that she wants to play? How many points did she score her last game? So I have those personal connections, and then I have that record of those connections. When it comes to things like Clubhouse, you have to either take notes on those personal connections, or you just have to be really good at remembering things, or create your own personal brand, which is number 3 of personal branding. Personal branding is one of my greatest successes. Right now in the ServiceNow space, I've been trying to help veterans as much as possible. What that's kind of enabled me to do is when somebody that has an opening, they're now reaching out to me saying, hey, do you have a veteran we could plug in the spot? So now the veterans I'm helping on a one-on-one case basis learn ServiceNow through free opportunities. I'm able just to place them based off of the reputation that I have quality vets looking for jobs in ServiceNow. And that isn't even my job. That's just me helping my brothers and sisters in arms and helping them get employment. And that is all on the side in a free hustle. That is a lot of fun.
My hats off to you. Salute, not from one side, two sides, because you are empowering others to get back on track. Because why do you do all this?
So military veterans, we have this continuation of service. So a lot of us who didn't see combat do have what we call non-combat guilt. So that non-combat guilt is kind of what drives me. And I don't want to deal with it because it's driving me. It's driving me to help any veteran who has been overseas that has seen trauma overcome that trauma. My trauma might be different from my experiences, but overcoming it, the resources are the same. The conversations that need to happen aren't the same for everybody, but as the more conversations you have, the more you learn, okay, these are the resources for PTSD when you saw an IED. These are the resources for MST survivors, which is military sexual trauma. So gathering these resources and just having these conversations just keeps helping me grow. And the more I grow, the more I can help others. And that's one of the primary reasons I initially joined the Navy, was to help others, to have that service, have that duty, have that feeling of having something to accomplish and helping the U.S. as a whole.
Wonderful. Samuel, again, you are really serving others. That's a really big, because anyone who is trying to empower others, yeah, man, I'm with them. That's a given. Doing good stuff, which is not about them personally. They may get a benefit from that, which is okay. As far as the really whole goal is to empower others, teaching them how to fish for life, recover from their failures. Basically, that's what happened. It's like a valley. They are in downhill, and they transition from that one. they need accountability sport. You're creating like a community where everybody is, hey, I'm not alone. It will be okay. Now they actually went that out. That's what they're doing in those ones.
And it's amazing because Clubhouse has enabled that to whole new levels because we're able to hide behind and not have the video aspect where we get nervous. We're able to just sit there, be comfortable, have a few drinks.
Yeah.
And those of us who live in legal states, some of them do smoke while we're just sitting there talking because that's their medication. That's helping them be able to talk about some of the traumatic events and be relaxed. And we've noticed that a lot of these people that we're having these conversations with about trauma, about PTSD, and about anxiety, they keep coming back afterwards.
Yeah.
And we keep seeing this progression of happiness reinstilling within our veterans and within our communities, which is something that's been missing from VSOs, which is also a driver for me, is building that community again. And you bring it up, and that's big for me. Community engagement is key. Because without community engagement, we have no future, we have no kids, we have no schools, we have no healthcare system. Community engagement, when we all start working together, as much as it sounds like a communistic thought, it's actually one of the most capitalistic thoughts ever. Because as you're doing these good things, your personal brand grows. That business will come back to you eventually. It doesn't need to be something that's reciprocal. Doing good things just to do good things will make you a better person.
Yeah, doing good things. Wonderful. How the people are watching this right now, many could be veteran. So I don't know who is watching and who is veteran, who is not. Why? How they can support you?
Absolutely. So if you want to check out the E4 Mafia Club, it's on Clubhouse. We have our merch site that we just launched a few days ago. We also have a LinkedIn community called the Veteran Mentor Network. If you post in there, Sam helped me get an IT job, I will more than likely get tagged by all the other people there. We also have a Slack that is for the Clubhouse veterans. We have a Facebook group for Clubhouse veterans as well. And we're starting to just build a veteran community. If you find a veteran community, more than likely I'm there. So if you just tag Sam Sussman or Samuel Sussman, depending on which platform you're on, you should be able to find me.
Wonderful. E for mafiahq.club. What the hell? You are a mafia?
Yeah, so E4 Mafia is the general mentality of the pay grade of E4, which is that breaking point into non-commissioned officer where you're starting to get some responsibility, but you're still low enough that you want to protect your junior guys. We're also the ones that get a lot of work done behind the scenes. So a lot of the backdoor conversations, whether it's at the water cooler, smoke pit, or even in the galley, we're sitting there talking and getting work done in situations that you wouldn't think work's getting done. So a lot of people think that smokers are just going out there, puffing down a whole pack of cigarettes, taking a break, just talking about nothing. But when it's the military, it's weird because that's how you get your break. That's usually how you end up getting your collaboration with others. Because if you're stuck on an issue and you're at that smoke pit and you're just complaining, smoking a cigarette about that issue, somebody at that smoke pit that's E4 junior is going to be like, hey, why don't you try it this way?
Yeah.
And that's how the work gets done. It's the backbone infrastructure of the United States military.
Wonderful, wonderful. E for mafiahq.club. Visit that site. And if you're a veteran, if you don't know, if you know a veteran who feel lonely and they need a recovery path, get them, actually send this link to them so that way we all can help each other. This is the whole purpose. So we are about to wrap up. Samuel, I'd like to ask your today's guest experience on the Growth Hacking Secret Show. What would you say about your today's guest experience on Growth Hacking Secrets?
This was a great experience because it allowed us to talk about veteran engagement. A lot of the engagement pieces that exist in the veteran community are actually applicable outside of the veteran community. So you're helping me bridge that gap between veteran and civilians, and hopefully we can make a difference together and we can start promoting these positive changes in people's lives.
Thank you so much for your kind words. Really appreciate it. Sam, what would you say as a final word?
If you're a veteran struggling with help, be sure to call the Veteran Crisis Line. I've used it in the past. It is not something for weak people. It's definitely a strong move to call that line. Press option number 1 for the Veterans Crisis Line. It is highly important. It's one of those things that could save your life. If you're looking to network with me, you can find me on LinkedIn and any of the veteran groups. If I'm not in that veteran group, Veteran Mentor Network on LinkedIn, that's going to be your best place to find me.
Wonderful. Samuel Sussman, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. On the behalf of Growth Hacking Secrets community and our entire team, we really appreciate you. This is Mohammed Siddique signing off from Atlanta, Georgia. Until the next episode, all good wishes.